Welcome to Taiwan Hashtag, hosted by the Storm Media. I'm Ross Feingold, coming to you from Taipei. On today's Taiwan Hashtag, we'll be discussing the recent results in the Kuomintang presidential primary. And what does it mean for not only the winner, Kaohsiung Mayor Han Kuo-yu, but also for other Kuomintang politicians, as well as the other presidential contenders, most notably President Tsai Ing-wen, who's seeking re-election, as well as potential competitors like Mayor of Taipei, Ko Wen-je. So, Han Kuo-yu, a really impressive victory, one has to say, in the Kuomintang primary last week. With the results being announced last Monday, he has now solidified his position as the Kuomintang candidate. It followed a short but really intense election process, and ultimately it was decided by a large margin because Han Kuo-yu is still riding on that wave of popularity that resulted in his election victory last November in Kaohsiung's mayor election. So in the Kuomintang primary, he came out with 44% over 27% for his nearest competitor, former Foxconn Honhai chairman Terry Go, a globally well-known business person. So what are the reasons for this victory? Again, riding on that popularity from his mayoral election, a very enthusiastic base of support across Taiwan, it appears, not just in Kaohsiung. And his rallies in the months preceding the start of the KMT primary were also impressive. Were they as well attended as he would have liked? Of course not. Were there hundreds of thousands of people, as his campaign team sometimes claimed? Maybe not. Were they well attended? Yes. Even on days when it was hot or rainy in different parts of Taiwan, he could still turn out tens of thousands of people. It's clear that the enthusiasm level for Han certainly existed, and we never saw that with the other Kuomintang candidates, whether Terry Go, Eric Ju, a former deputy premier, as well as a former mayor of New Taipei City, a legislator, and a former county commissioner of Taoyuan County, certainly somebody with a wealth of political experience, and we'll talk a little bit more about his next moves in this program. But again, the support level, the enthusiasm, whether it was at events, online, among the chatter of netizens, was just not there for the other candidates. And that brings up another important point, which we're going to see not just looking back at the Kuomintang primary results, but also going forward as people begin to analyze the election campaign, polling numbers, online support, and that is, what is the actual level of interference from China? So this is going to be something that we hear constantly about in the coming months. We'll hear it from domestic sources right here in Taiwan. We'll hear it from the government. We'll hear it from the Democratic Progressive Party. And we'll hear it from foreign governments as well, most notably the United States or commentators based outside Taiwan. There's a lot of assumptions and not a lot of facts about this. We do know for sure that there is online support that comes from China for Han Kuo-yu. Is it the reason why he won the Kaohsiung mayor election? No, it's probably not. It's just that he was a better campaigner than his opponent. Is it the reason why he won the Kuomintang primary? No, again, he was probably just a better campaigner, or his opponents in the Kuomintang primary were just not as effective campaigners as Han Kuo-yu with his outgoing personality and his ability just to say things that voters want to hear. Whether or not you agree with him or his political views, one has to give him credit for being an effective campaigner. But we're going to hear this message, and people are going to be watching it very closely, that online chatter, especially coming out of China, is a factor in why he was the winner in the Kuomintang primary. We also see a lot of discussion in recent days here in Taiwan involving media groups. The Want China Times group is specifically, which has been accused by the Financial Times in an article in recent days about taking some of their information from China, and Want China Times Group has said they are going to sue people. I hope they don't sue me or Storm, but they said they're going to sue over this allegation. And this will be something that, again, will be part of the conversation about why Han Kuo-yu was able to maintain such strong support after the Kaohsiung election through to the Kuomintang primary. So what does it mean for the other Kuomintang losers in the primary process? Terry Go, in the aftermath of his primary loss, said some nice things about Han Kuo-yu, congratulated him on his victory, and then he immediately left for a holiday outside of Taiwan, leading to much speculation about what his next move will be. Will he support Han Kuo-yu enthusiastically? Will he decide to run on his own as a candidate unaffiliated with a political party? Well, he certainly has time to decide, given the process to obtain signatures on petitions to become a non-party candidate in Taiwan's presidential election. Probably still has till late August, early September to put that in motion. So he doesn't need to make a decision right away, but of course, the public wants to know, voters want to know, and obviously the media wants to know as well what his plans are. So for now, we're still guessing whether or not Mr. Go will be a candidate. What do polls tell us about his potential as an independent candidate? Keeping in mind that polling in Taiwan can be somewhat undependable, and it depends on the source of the polls. But as of now, when he's not declared even that he would run as a non-party affiliated candidate, he's still polling in the high teens or the low 20s in a split field that would have Han Kuo-yu for the Kuomintang, Tsai Ing-wen for the DPP, possibly Mayor Ko-wen-je of Taipei City also running as an unaffiliated candidate. So does he have a chance of winning? Yeah, he's in the mix. Will he do it? We just don't know yet. But certainly his supporters will be encouraging him to do so, and he'll be running on an economic message more so than a China message, given his great success in business. Other Kuomintang losers were Zhou Siwei and Eric Zhu. Zhou Siwei, the former Taipei County Commissioner, has made news in recent days because he did an interview with a German media outlet Deutsche Welle where he discussed his view of cross-strait relations, and being a traditional Kuomintang politician, he does support the 92 consensus and that Taiwan and the mainland are part of one China, and they're separated due to historical reasons, and maybe they could unify one day when China democratizes. So he didn't say anything that's inconsistent with a typical Kuomintang position, but anytime a politician in Taiwan takes an interview from foreign media, there's always a risk that they say something wrong, or that it gets a lot of attention here in Taiwan and people question what exactly did he mean, very common here when meeting with foreign media. So in the aftermath of this interview, Zhou Siwei is now trying to do a bit of cleanup, and he's been posting to his Facebook in recent hours about what exactly he meant when he was talking to Deutsche Welle. But one of the interesting points he made in a Facebook post just within the last few hours at the beginning of the week here in Taipei is that he actually accused Tsai Ing-wen of possibly plotting to impose martial law and canceling elections. This is certainly going to attract even more attention to Zhou Siwei, which is pretty interesting given that he didn't do very well in the KMT primary, but he's certainly finding interesting ways to keep himself in the news. And what about Mr. Zhu, Eric Zhu, Zhu Li-lun? Again, with a wealth of political experience, he had thought that he would be the real front runner for the Kuomintang nomination. This is long before Han Kuo-yu decided that he would accept the nomination if offered, long before Terry Go decided that he would seek the nomination. Mr. Zhu thought he'd be the front runner, keeping in mind he was the candidate in 2016 for the Kuomintang. He did lose by a substantial amount, but he took one for the team in a year when it was not a good year for Kuomintang candidates at the end of the Ma Ying-jeou presidency. Anyway, he lost by a significant amount. He was in third place. He only polled in the teens in the Kuomintang primary. So in recent days, there's been some attention or speculation that he might run for the Legislative Yuan. Maybe he'll even seek to be the Legislative Yuan Speaker if the Kuomintang should win the majority in the Legislative Yuan, the parliamentary election next January, which will be held on the same day as the presidential election. And then he's been denying these reports and saying it's not true, that this was his plan all along. But he will play a significant role in trying to unify the party, and obviously the best thing to do would be to unify the party around the chosen candidate. So not only is he in a position to help Han Kuo-yu, but if he could encourage Terry Go not to run as an independent and convince Terry Go to unite around Han Kuo-yu, then he'll also be further doing one for the team. And the other Kuomintang personality in the mix is the actual former legislative Yuan Speaker, Wang Jinping, who decided to withdraw from the primary process, so he wasn't an option in the poll for the Kuomintang presidential nomination. He decided he didn't like the process. He thought it was not well designed. And there's still speculation that he might run as a non-party candidate, or maybe he's just seeking to be somebody's vice presidential running mate. This will all play out in the next few weeks, especially as we get to the Kuomintang Party Congress at the end of July here in Taipei. But we'll be watching closely what he does as well. So what does Han need to do in the next few weeks? Well, as I just mentioned, he needs to select his vice presidential running mate. Typically in democracies, who a vice presidential running mate isn't that important. But for Han, it could be helpful not only in unifying the party, but also in making up for what people are going to inevitably say is his lack of experience, given that he's only been Kaohsiung Mayor for about 6 months. And his previous political experience came many years earlier as a legislator. He did have a role in a government-owned agricultural products marketing cooperative in recent years, which brought him back into the news. But it's fair to say he certainly lacks experience on a national level and with many of the different issues that a president will have to deal with. So he'll be looking for somebody who might be able to help unify those KMT voices, factions. He might also be looking for somebody who can make up for his own lack of policy experience. He'll also have to deal with the accusations that he's quitting, he's skipping out on the people of Kaohsiung, the people who just elected him last November. He took office at the end of December, and now 6 months later, he's running for president. There's been a lot of speculation that he might resign, or people saying he should resign. For now, he said he's not going to resign as Kaohsiung mayor, so he's going to continue to serve in that position and maintain his presidential campaign as well. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. Now, to Han's credit, he said he's going to base his campaign headquarters out of Kaohsiung, and he uses that as a way of explaining he's not deserting the people of Kaohsiung. He's going to try to document his absences with appropriate paperwork when he has to campaign. And very interestingly, he said that a lot of his policy positions won't be articulated at rallies, but rather he's just going to present them in written papers that he'll share with the public as his team designs his policies. So this will continue, though, to be something that his opponents use against him, whether it's Taipei City Mayor Ko-yu or the DPP. They'll say, wait, you're mayor of Kaohsiung, how can you be running for election locally? So that nationally. So that brings us to Taipei City Mayor Ko-yu, who would also have to deal with that issue about running for president while he's still mayor. But the difference with Ko-yu is he could say, look, I've already served one term as mayor. I'm not like HanKuo-yu, who's now running for president after only 6 months as Kaohsiung mayor. But similar to Terry-go, Ko-yu does not need to make this decision yet. He still has about a month, maybe 6 weeks at most, until he makes a final decision. He's polling sort of at a level of Terry-go is. So if there's a three-way or a four-way race, we see Ko-yu in the low 20s, roughly speaking. So for somebody who hasn't even formally declared president, that he's running for president, it's actually not a bad place to be. And we're going to see his supporters, which have a lot of young voters, which is something to watch as well. They're going to be calling for Ko to make that decision to join the presidential election. He's asked about this every day when he meets the media. So the pressure will build, and he will be making a decision soon. And then we'll see what HanKuo-yu does to push back against Ko-yu's criticism of Han, and that will come in addition to Han having to push back against the DPP's criticism or President Tsai's criticisms of Mayor Han and his policies. So lots of unknowns still in the Taiwan presidential election campaigns, although the one thing we do know is that HanKuo-yu will be representing the Kuomintang. I'll see you next time on Taiwan Hashtag. I'm Ross Feingold, speaking from Taipei.